All right. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most powerful, and let's be honest, often misunderstood institutions in the European Union, the European Commission. It shapes everything from our phone chargers to huge international trade deals, but how does it actually work? Well, let's get into it.
So let's kick things off with a really basic question. When you hear about a new EU law, like the one that said all new phones have to use the same charger, where does an idea like that even start? The answer to that question takes us right to the heart of what we're talking about today.
And here it is, the European Commission. It's the EU's powerful, politically independent executive branch. Now, while it's most famous for being the place that proposes new laws, its job is so much bigger than that. It's also in charge of implementing decisions, managing the daily business of the EU. You can think of it as the entire union's engine room.
A pretty good way to get your head around it is this. Imagine a country's cabinet, all the ministers who set the big policies, and then combine that with the entire civil service, the thousands of experts who handle all the details. The European Commission is basically both of those things, rolled into one.
Okay, so proposing laws is what they're famous for, right? But that's really just the tip of the iceberg. The Commission's real power actually comes from four distinct, absolutely core functions.
And when you look at what they do, the scope is just huge. It's not just about proposing laws. The Commission manages the entire EU budget, deciding where billions of euros in funding are going to go. It's also a powerful watchdog, the guardian of the treaties, meaning it can take countries or even giant tech companies to court if they break EU rules. And on the world stage, it speaks with one voice for all 27 members when negotiating massive international deals on things like trade.
All right, so we've got a handle on what the Commission does, but who's actually pulling the levers? I mean, this isn't some faceless machine. It's run by a very specific group of people.
Believe it or not, the entire leadership team is made up of just 27 people. And why 27? Well, it's pretty simple. There's exactly one commissioner nominated from each member state. This is to make sure every country is represented right at the very top.
So this team of 27 has a name, the College of Commissioners. Think of it like a board of directors. Right at the top, you have the president, who sets the overall strategy. Then, the president assigns each of the other 26 commissioners a specific policy area, a portfolio, like, say, climate action or the digital economy. And you've also got vice presidents who help coordinate work across different departments.
Now, obviously, those 27 commissioners aren't sitting there writing every single word of every proposal themselves. Of course not. They oversee a huge permanent staff of thousands of experts. We're talking lawyers, scientists, economists. These expert teams are organized into departments called Directorates General, or just DGs for short. They're the ones on the ground doing the deep research and the detailed drafting behind every single policy.
So you might be wondering, how does this incredibly powerful team even get picked? It's definitely not some simple backroom deal. It's actually a pretty complex, democratic process that has some really important checks and balances from both national governments and the directly elected European Parliament.
Let's walk through it. First, the leaders of the 27 member countries get together and propose one single candidate for president. But that person isn't a shoo-in. They have to win a majority vote in the European Parliament. Once that's done, the new president-elect builds their team based on nominees from each country. But, and this next part is absolutely key, every single one of those nominees has to face a tough, public hearing in Parliament. It's only after that whole process that the Parliament votes on the entire team as a single package. It's an all-or-nothing deal.
Okay, so the team's in place. Now what? How do they actually decide on anything? Well, the entire system is built on one single vital principle: collective responsibility.
And this is so important to understand. A single commissioner has zero power to make a decision on their own. Zero. Every single proposal has to be debated and approved by the entire College of 27. They all share equal responsibility for that decision, and they have to publicly defend it, even if they personally argued against it behind closed doors. The whole system is designed for total consensus.
So in practice, what does the journey for a new proposal look like? Well, first the expert DGs do all the initial research and drafting. That draft then goes up to the College of Commissioners, where it gets debated and maybe amended. Once the college collectively agrees to adopt it, then it becomes an official EU proposal and gets sent on to the European Parliament and the Council of the EU to be debated as a potential law.
There's a quote from the EU's own materials that really just hits the nail on the head here. It says it all. It doesn't matter if you're the president or a commissioner from the smallest member state. When you're in that decision-making room, every voice is equal and every single person shares the exact same level of responsibility for what comes out of it. And all of this kind of brings us to the big central puzzle of the European Commission, doesn't it? On one hand, it's designed to be this independent, impartial guardian of the EU's common interest. But on the other hand, any institution that has the sole power to propose laws for nearly 450 million people is, by definition, a massive political force. So what is it? A neutral civil service or an unelected government?